So I would just like to say hi everyone. The first time that I posted a video on this channel, the very first video, was a year ago. Exactly a year ago yesterday, on the 10th of August. And at the time, I was going through a very complicated relationship with a drug addict. And I was in pain. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get out of the situation. I was getting manipulated by him all the time. He would lie to me. He would actually somehow got me into participating in things that I shouldn't have. Like, for instance, borrowing my cell phone so he could contact drug dealers, or things like he would ask me to give him a ride and I would give him a ride, and he ended up buying drugs from a drug dealer right in front of me. So that is actually technically, criminal, but it happened, and I was crying a lot. I was going through living, breathing hell. So to bring you on an update of what actually happened for the past year was this. In August last year, about the 20th of August, he and we were trying to get along, and we were trying to actually respect each other's feelings, and I was trying to be there for him. And one night, he just texted me on the 20th of August last year that he was going into rehab the next morning. And to me, at that moment, I had this huge mixed emotions, because a part of me was like, oh my God, finally, he's going to rehab. He's going to take care of himself. He's going to be okay. He's actually doing something. And another part of me, and that was the part of me that was being manipulated almost on a daily basis, and that was actually quite used to him by this point, felt like my whole world was crumbling, because I was like, oh my God, I've been with this guy 24/7 for the past 3 months. I would like to remind you, if you don't remember that he would actually come to my house like first thing in the morning. He would stay here until I would go to the gym. When I came back from the gym, I would pick him up and he would be back in my house and he would sleep here. So we pretty much did this routine for like 3 months. So all of a sudden, when he just blurts out, I'm going away tomorrow, I was so happy that he was getting treatment, and I was so miserable because for the people that don't know, when they go into rehab, when they go into these programs, they're not allowed to make phone calls, they're not allowed to receive visitation for the few months, the initial months that they're there. They're not allowed to use their phone, internet, anything. And I knew that I was going to be, for God knows how long, without being able to talk to him, know what he was doing, what was going on, if he was better or not. And so we had a conversation in which we talked about what we were going to do. And it was a very strange conversation. He would say, I want you to forget about me. Let's just break up. You're not my girlfriend anymore. This makes no sense. I'm going into rehab. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. And then he had this argument that was really valid, this point, which was, I cannot be in rehab focusing about myself and focusing about getting better and getting rid of my addiction if I am worried about what you're doing on the outside, if you're seeing other guys, if you're going to, just leave me and be with someone else, because obviously I couldn't get in touch with him, so I would have no way to warn him. But I tried explaining to him that if he actually wanted me to wait, I would wait for him, because there was nothing that I wanted more at the time than to see him free of alcohol, free of the cocaine, free of pot, free of all the drugs and the alcohol that he was consuming, and actually trying to have a normal relationship with him. So I told him I would wait. But he kept insisting, no, I don't want you to wait for me. I just want to break up. I never want to see you again. And then he would say, okay, but if we don't break up, are you going to visit me? Because I don't know if you're really going to visit me or not. And well, to cut a very long conversation short, we ended up not really knowing if we were broken up or not, because I kept insisting that I would wait for him, and he kept insisting that he didn't want me to wait for him, that he wasn't really in love with me, that he just wanted us to just, part our ways. And I was devastated. I cried the entire night. I couldn't sleep. I was just crying. And the next morning, he texted me at 7 o'clock in the morning saying that he was going into rehab. And then he texted me 2 hours later saying that he was going to turn his phone over to the therapist in the rehab center. And we weren't going to be in touch anymore. And he said again, just forget about me. I was a wreck, a complete nervous wreck. I didn't know what to do. And I did something that I'm not proud of. And what I did was I met this guy, and about a week and a half after, my ex-boyfriend went into rehab, he asked me to go out to dinner and a movie. And, I thought, okay, maybe I need to get out of the house because I was crying a lot. I wasn't able to work, and I just really needed to get out. Well, we ended up talking, dating, going out, and I explained to him the situation, and I said, look, I still have a huge unfinished business with this ex-boyfriend of mine that's in rehab, and I am going to need to talk to him at some point and explain what's going on. And after about 2 months, it was October last year, my ex-boyfriend came out of rehab just for 5 days, and the first thing he did, obviously, was trying to find me. And then he found out that I was dating another guy. And I felt like literally the worst human being on the face of planet Earth, because I told him that I would wait, and I didn't wait. But to be honest, that guy, for me, the guy that I was dating, and this is horrible to admit, so I'm really opening up my heart to you. At the time, I wasn't aware of it. I actually thought I liked him, and that I was falling in love with him. But actually, he was just filling a gap that I had inside my heart when my ex-boyfriend left. And we talked about it, and he was really upset. He was really hurt about that. But he said, I'm hurt, I'm upset, but this really isn't completely your fault, because in that conversation I did tell you to forget about me, and I never once said, okay, let's try and make this work. So we talked. It was really hard. He called me those special words that he had for me. He just blurted them out, and it was really embarrassing, and I did the same thing, and we were really embarrassed by all of that. So we met up that day, we had this conversation, and then all I wanted to do was cry, and I cried a lot. And I wanted the person that I was dating to understand and be there for me, because that was really hard, seeing how much he was hurt by my actions. And that person that I was dating was not understanding at all, and he yelled a lot, he shouted a lot, and he accused me of actually cheating on him with my ex, which never, ever, ever happened. Anyways, time went by, and around Christmas time, he came back from rehab again to spend Christmas with his family. So of course, first thing he does, he started texting me, telling me he was leaving rehab, he was on his way, and etc. And this time the whole conversation was just over text. And he asked me if I was still dating the same guy. And I said, yes, we're still dating. And that was pretty much it. He would text me every day just asking, if everything was okay. And then he texted me the minute he left for rehab. And he texted me again the minute he had to give up his phone again. Then on March, he showed up again, and he said he was almost leaving rehab, and we were actually together. We had this really good conversation. He wasn't mad at me anymore, and if he was hurt, he wasn't showing that, and we were able to laugh together and have this huge and nice conversation and actually feel like we were friends. But because of my boyfriend at the time, his reaction when I told him that I had seen him the first time in October, I decided not to tell him because he would not understand and we would just go into this huge argument and it wasn't worth it. Anyways, in April, my ex called me and he was super excited, and this was like 10 o'clock in the evening. He was super excited. He left rehab after 8 long months without him seeing me, his parents, his kids. He actually has a daughter and a son, without seeing anyone from his family. And so he was really excited and he wanted to share that with me. And my boyfriend was here home with me, and I tried to pretend that I was talking to someone else just to avoid the drama. And at a given point, my ex said, "Are you home?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm home." And he said, "Well, come downstairs. I'm here at your door. I want to say hello." And I thought, oh my God, if my boyfriend finds out, I'm going to have a huge problem. But at the same time, my ex was so excited and he really wanted to share that moment with me. He was very grateful because he said all along that I was the reason, I was the one person that was able to persuade him to go into rehab. So he wanted to share the happiness with me. He wanted to share that moment with me. He wanted to tell me how everything was for him, and he was really excited. And I didn't want to just say, "No, I can't see you," because he was really, really happy, and I didn't want to see him, being depressed or anything. And so I ended up telling my boyfriend, "Look, I'm just going downstairs to my car. I need to pick something up and I'll be right over." And my ex was looking at me with a really weird face, like he was suspicious of something. So I went downstairs and I told my ex that we had to be careful because my boyfriend was here, so it was better if we just, turn around and not be in front of the house. So we talked for about 5 minutes, and it was a really good talk. And he was really happy. He was excited. He had a lot of plans, and he was completely free of drugs. He was completely free of alcohol. The only thing he was doing was he was still taking some pills that he needed to take to stabilize him, but he was so much better. He was so happy. He was full with life. He was going to do a nutrition course because he fell in love with, healthy food and a healthy lifestyle. So he had a lot of plans, and he wanted to share them with me firsthand, and he wanted to thank me again because it was thanks to me that he ended up in rehab. So all of that was fine, and I was coming back home, and all of a sudden my boyfriend was in the street staring at the two of us, and I knew that was going to mean trouble, huge trouble. And to protect my ex, because I didn't want him to get involved in a fight that would be ridiculous after 8 months of rehab and trying to stabilize him emotionally, to make him go through a fight. That was ridiculous. So we jumped into his car and we just took off. We went around the block so he could leave me, about 30 seconds walking distance away from my house, but in a way that he and my boyfriend would not have a confrontation. So we did that, and he asked me if I needed his help, and I said, no, everything's going to be okay. I'm just going to talk to him. I'm going to try to explain to him what's going on. Don't worry about me. And I was so wrong about everything going to be okay, because it didn't go okay. My boyfriend started yelling at me. He called me a lot of ugly, bad names. He didn't even wanted to hear an explanation. He actually started saying things that weren't true. Like, he said he saw us kissing and that we left in the car to be together somewhere. I mean, that's ridiculous. It took us 30 seconds to go around the block in the car, and then another 30 seconds for me to walk back home. So, he started saying things that made no sense. And the worst thing that boyfriend did to me was he entered my son's bedroom. My son is 14 years old. And he said, I'm leaving your mother. And do you know why I'm leaving your mother? And my son said, no. And he said, I'm leaving your mother because she was downstairs with someone. Do you know who she was downstairs with? And my son just said, yes, I know. It was with, the name. I don't want to say my ex-boyfriend's name, but my son said his name. And that made my boyfriend go even crazier. And he said, what? You knew about it? Everybody knew about it? Of course everybody knew about it, because there was nothing wrong with it. I just wasn't honest with him, because the first time when I was honest, we had a terrible fight, and I actually thought at a given minute that he was probably going to hit me, because he was so mad. He was with his face right here next to mine, yelling at me and being very, very, very aggressive. So of course I wouldn't tell him the truth, because I was afraid of what he was going to do. So he ended up leaving me. He picked everything that he had of his in my house. And during the weekend after this, he came here with his kids and his dad, and he took everything away. And that was it. I never saw him again. I never spoke to him again. So what happened was that my ex and I, because that one became an ex as well, but I'm talking about the ex that came from rehab. We started getting closer as friends. He wanted help in writing a CV. I wrote him one so he could actually go out and find a job. And then he found out that he got a job. He got a job in a wonderful place that is about 3 hours away from where I live. And it's a really beautiful place with a wonderful beach. And he actually got a job being a manager in a restaurant that only serves healthy food. So a sort of a gourmet restaurant. And he was so excited. He was going to have his own place to live there. He was going to have help from his friends, from his family. And he was going to start a new life. And then we did the unthinkable, and I'm going to admit it. When we found out, the two of us, that he was going to move 3 hours away, I don't know what the hell we were thinking, but we started kissing. One thing led to the other, and we got intimately involved. And it was really bad. It didn't work for me. I don't think it worked for him. We were both very frustrated. We started talking about, oh my God, why is this so bad when it was so good in the past? And I thought that for me, it was because my boyfriend, pretty much dumped me. And I was still hurt that he had left. And he thought that it was probably because he didn't have sex for 8 months. He was completely out of practice. And it was the first time in years that he was having sex without having any sort of drug or alcohol in his system. So for whatever the reason, it really went bad. So He left and he went to his new job and his new home, and after a month he came back to visit his family, and of course he came to see me. And you know, one thing led to the other, and we ended up kissing and we ended up having sex again. And it was a little bit better, but it was still bad. Just it wouldn't work for me, you know? I was getting no pleasure out of it. It was weird. It made no sense. And the two of us ended up, you know, having to admit that whatever it was that we had was completely gone. And we found out that we were just friends. You know, the passion wasn't there anymore. The sex wasn't good anymore. Nothing was good. So we pretty much decided to be friends. And right now it's August, so the last time we were involved was in the beginning of May of this year. And right now in August, he is being the manager of the gourmet restaurant. He's making good money. He's going to AA meetings, and he's also going to other meetings for drug addicts that are still in rehab. He's still going through the process and the program that he has to go through. He actually found someone that has been very supportive to him, so he has a new girlfriend, and the two of them are very happy right now, and I'm very happy for him because he deserves it. You know, I saw that guy hit a low, a huge low. I saw him using drugs. I saw him completely drunk and snorting cocaine in front of me. I saw things that no one can imagine. That's why I actually posted some videos that I decided to remove, and they were videos in which I was actually talking about just wanting to die. So it was probably the worst time in my life. But I'm really happy that he's got his act together. So he has a job, he has a place to live, he has friends, he found a girlfriend that he really loves, and she's treating him really good, and they're all very happy, and I'm very happy for him. And the two of us in the middle of all this chaos are still friends. So if I want to talk to him, I can just talk to him. If he wants to talk to me, he can talk to me. The only thing that we found out is that we weren't feeling the same thing for each other anymore. We did try, it's true. We tried once in April and once in May, and then we just, you know, we called it a quits. Like, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't working. We thought it could work, but it didn't work. And another thing is that if my boyfriend hadn't dumped me that night, you know, this guy and I, we would never have had sex again, ever. It was not a part of our plans. We did it because he wasn't feeling so well and I wasn't feeling so well, and one thing led to the other, and we ended up trying it out. But you know, this ended up being a good story with a happy ending. And I'm very happy that he's happy in that he's not using drugs, he's not using alcohol. And I really wish from the bottom of my heart that he keeps it up, he keeps this good work going. And as for me, I'm still alone. I don't have anyone. And it's kind of a personal choice at this point. It's not that I don't have guys asking me out to date them. It's just that I don't want to date someone just to say that I'm dating someone. They have to mean something for me. They have to be important somehow. And I guess I'm still waiting. You know, I think I'm actually mourning the fact that he and I weren't in love with each other anymore. And I'm mourning the fact that I lost the other boyfriend. But I came to the conclusion, you know, when this ex came back and we got involved, that it's really sad and it's really ugly on my part to admit it. But this boyfriend that I had for those 8 months, he was pretty much just filling a gap. He was filling a gap that I had in my heart, that I had in my life. And honestly, I have no idea how I would have endured those months without him in my life. I think it would have been, whoa, months of misery and pain and all the bad things that you can imagine. But anyways, I'm doing fine right now. I'm working, I'm stable, I'm not crying, I'm not a nervous wreck. The only thing that I haven't found yet is love, but it will happen. One day it will happen. And I just wanted to say that in my story, and it was really complicated, and if you see my other videos about the manipulation of dating a drug addict and the truth about dating a drug addict, in another post in which I call myself an idiot, you can see how hard it is to go through something like this. And in this case, so far we have a happy ending. We're friends, he's drug-free, he's doing his process, he's working, he found someone new, so everything is okay. But please listen to me. All the women out there who are trapped in relationships with drug addicts or alcoholics, whatever, please, please, you either give them help or you run for your lives. Seriously, get out of that relationship. It is toxic. It is not good for you. You are going to get yourself in really a lot amount of problems. And these guys, sometimes they lash out and they end up hitting you or yelling at you. He never hit me, but you know, some guys do. And you feel like the lowest of the low because all they want from you is money and sex. And that's pretty much what they want. So please, if you are in an abusive, drug-related relationship, get the hell out of there. Either the person goes to rehab or you have to get out of the relationship. And I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy because I've been there. I went through that, okay? But it's possible. And I'm here as an example. It is possible. You can get out of this. You can get out of this. If you really want to, you can. So please, either they go to rehab or you just run for your lives and don't look back. So that's just what I wanted to share. And maybe I'll do another video, you know, explaining other details of what happened. This video is really long, and I really doubt that anyone is going to watch the full almost 30 minutes of this video, because on YouTube people don't want long videos. They want videos that last for like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and sometimes 15 minutes is too long. So, you know, 30 is completely unimaginable. I wanted to just thank some people that actually supported me and that wrote really nice messages to me. So again, I'm just using my story as an example. I wish you all the best. And if any woman out there who is in the middle of a relationship like that wants to talk to me or just vent something or ask me for advice, please feel free to do so. I'm here for all of you because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to feel that you're losing the grip, you're losing yourself, you're losing your life, you're losing your self-respect, your self-esteem, and all of a sudden you're just a thing. You're not even human anymore. So, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support. Peace out.